Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. In-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation. And by Icom. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 292, March 22nd, 2017. Valerie and Tim Duffy tell us all about Contest University. Good evening, everybody. Here we are again. It's Ham Nation on the Twit Network. And for all you tens of thousands that are out there, we have unbelievable stuff tonight. Good stuff. Tamitha is going to be here with some solar stuff. Don is out, but he might make it in. He's out doing taxes with the IRS dude. Nothing bad. It's just the yearly stuff. So, oh boy, you know how that goes. He said, I might be there. So we'll see. George is here, and let's go to Gordo. First, do a little quick runaround, and then we'll come back and get all you guys. You get any rain down in Southern Cal? What's happening?
Well, just enough to wash off the antenna elements. And you know, Bob, the folks down in Houston are getting ready for their big Houston Ham Fest this Friday and Saturday. And they wanted us to mention, come Friday and you get in free. Saturday, it's $10 entrance, but Friday. So Greater Houston Ham Fest. Tim Duffy is going to be there presenting 2 programs. So Tim, have a great time. Week after next, I'll see everybody in Las Vegas. Bob, back to you.
Yay. All right. Yeah, Timmy's getting ready for the big Contest University, but we'll hear no more about that later in the program because Valerie is here with Tim. And so we're going to have the really wonderful thing of always having Valerie. We love it when Valerie's here, and she's going to bring Tim with her tonight. So who knows what's going to go on, but it'll be fun and you'll learn something. George, how are you doing? You have any transmitter problems this week, or everything's smooth?
I have not had any transmitter problems, although the week is not over yet. I've had plenty to do, though, and everything here is turning green. If it's not green, it's probably yellow. So a little hoarse here today, but exceptionally good weather, so I've been taking advantage of it and catching up on some outdoor stuff. We've got satellite stuff we're doing, transmitter stuff we're doing, and I need to be doing the yard, but I'm not.
Yeah, right. We have pine board project to build. We can't mess around with that, can we?
No.
Oh, golly. Well, we got to tell everybody also that we simulcast this on WTWW, the 200,000 watt shortwave station out of Nashville. This baby fires up around the globe. And I'm going to read you some letters after a while. One especially that's unbelievable about what's going on there, and some of the listeners. So I'm really excited about tonight. There's just so much going on, but let's get it kicked off. And Gordo's got a lot of exciting things he's been doing. So Gordon, let's hear what's going on.
Well, we had a lot of comments the past couple of weeks on multi-band HF antennas, those that had to be manually tapped into. But tonight we're going to talk about automatic antennas for high frequency. So, Brian, if you'll go ahead and we'll start the short. Probably one of the most popular motorized antennas for 7 megahertz all the way to VHF and UHF is the Yaesu ATAS 120A. It's a fabulous antenna, works with the 857, 897, and the Yaesu 450. Now here's Patrick, K6 PFW. He's got it mounted on the side of his big red mobile, and this is a good mounting. He's got the coil up relatively high, And remember, the coil does not radiate. The only thing that radiates is the tip whip. So you really want to, on a motorized antenna, get that tip whip up. Now, sometimes you can get the tip whip up, but the desired whip is way too long, so we use a capacity hat. That adds in capacitive reactance to offset and to zero out the inductive reactance for resonance. And we've seen some hams at the Dayton Ham Bench a couple of years ago that went to the extreme of a top hat. Definitely not mobile in motion. Well, here are your popular antennas. And we want to thank Don Johnson, W6AAQ, who was the father of the motorized antennas. And this one even has matching paint for the vehicle. But this is what we're talking about when we're talking about motorized antennas. And gosh, the Tar Heel name goes back for many, many years. Started up with Robert Young and all the different Tar Heels. And the Tar Heels antennas are motor driven. They have a very quiet Pitman motor, and there's other antennas similar. So we're not pushing just one brand, but rather the whole idea of going from 7 megahertz all the way to 30 on these antennas. Some of them will also do V and U, but really the Yaesu does the best U and V capabilities as part of HF. On our communications band, we have the high Q antenna that you see on the stern. And we do both motorized as well as what you see there, and that is the old-fashioned manual adjustment. Now, this is Galen. You know Galen as Bow Wow, WB0W. You see Galen and his whole team at multiple ham fests. Gosh, they got to do one every other week. And he is now the main man behind the Tar Heel antennas. And he even has them in a plexiglass enclosure so you can see the Pitman motor that runs on 12 volts DC. And the nice thing about the Pitman motor, it's relatively quiet on receive so you can hear resonance. But all of the Tar Heel antennas also have sensors. So depending as to what automatic antenna coupler tuner you have, not coupler, but rather the automatic tuner, it'll raise or lower the feed point. And here we see one of the connections. This one has 25 pounds of connecting force, and it takes 5 coils to make that a solid connection. And as you can see, Galen says this is not going to rattle or anything like that. And here are the different tuners: Turbo Tuner, Tunematic, the SD102. All of these can be tested and preset so that with your Tar Heel antenna, you can go ahead and choose what band you want to go to and have the antenna make it to those bands. And the neat thing about Tar Heels, they got little baby ones, they got little ones, they have the stubby, and then they have the 100, the 200, the 300, and the 400 for those of you that want to run a solid-state amplifier into them. So next time you're at a ham fest, check them out. And there are other manufacturers of these antennas. The ATAS you'll find in DX Engineering's latest catalog. So all of these motor antennas really work well. And they wanted me to be sure and say that this is not spray paint. This is powder-coated colors on your favorite Tar Heel antenna. And for those of you with a big motorhome, you'll see you'll be able to easily raise and lower it with some of these Tar Heel accessory mounts. And we've seen some really wild accessory mounts at Ham Fest, especially Quartz Fest. Yeah, a little bit expensive, but it allows you to get that antenna up nice and high. Now, here's a typical mount, down a little low, but with a long whip and a capacity hat, he'll make up for it. So that's sort of a low mount. We'd like it a little bit higher, but hey, the hitch mount is a great way to go. And here's another hitch mount with a high Q antenna. Look at this. This is motorized. It goes up and down. So when he gets to where he wants to go, up it goes. And it is now on the air. But of course, you need a good ground plane behind any of these screwdriver type antennas. There's a pick 'em up with a great ground plane. Here's another one where he can actually lay down the mount, and notice the coil for taking that 5 to 10 ohm base impedance up to 50 ohms. The higher the Q, the more inductive reactance right there at the base that you're going to need. And there's another look at, wow, a major HF motorized antennas. And that's a goodie. And for just the small ones running medium power, you can get by with a little MFJ base antenna matchers to bring that feed point right to 50 ohms. With the bigger ones, you need a good coil like this that you can make up yourself. And that coil will look invisible to the higher bands, but it'll look quite nice to bring that feed point up to 50 ohms. And, of course, you can make your own antenna. And here's a fellow. Everybody sort of laughed. But when he got behind the mic and he hooked up with a station a couple thousand miles away, there were no more laughs. So it's important to be thinking about going high frequency. And Brian, if you'll come back to my smiling face here, and I want to show you one little item to be very cautious about. And we'll talk about this next week. And that is this very common SO239 3H24 device that a lot of folks depend on. But if you got a big antenna, don't depend on it. Bob, back to you.
All right. Very, very good. What you're looking at on the screen right now is K6LMS. They were on Tuesday, and we got to work them. It was a kind of a tough deal because the band was shot, but we did get to work them, and they all said hello to all of us here at Ham Nation, and I hope that hope we get to see the program all next year, and I think they're going to get their contract renewed. But you know what we're up to these days, and I got to tell you, I've done a lot of things, but I have never had anything with this kind of experience that came across. My gosh, I'm getting letters from all over, and it's around the globe too. So thanks to everybody. But one of the things that I want to do first is to read you a few letters that did come in, and some ideas. That's even crazier because they're coming up with some really great ideas. And that's cool. Mike, he's stollered in the chat room. Mike and Chip, K9 MIT, and Mike from VE3 MIT, great ideas on some things, and I appreciate that. They're going to help. They're going to help us get some parts things together. So we are working on a parts list. I have so many guys asking me about parts and where do you get them and so on. We're going to get in just a little bit of that in a little bit. But those guys will have a full run of where we can get it and so on, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. I had an incredible letter that came from an email that came from an airplane pilot, Larry, W7LDT, and Larry is listening to WTW. So he gets to hear this show as well as my organ concert on Saturday night. Check this out, guys and girls. He said, by trade, I'm an airplane pilot. Yesterday afternoon, I was at 37,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean, 1,700 miles west of L.A. We communicate with air traffic service on HF. The airplane is equipped with 2 HF radios that are capable of only USB and AM modes. Since I was using HF1, I tuned number 2 to 5085, selected AM, and there it was. So we don't know who in the world is listening to Ham Nation or my Saturday night programs. I'm getting emails from all over the place on that on Saturday night. Mike Rapp sent in a really nice thing on KT5MR, and he was telling me how there again he's really excited about the project, and he gave me a couple of ideas. Another one was very interesting from Paul, and we're going to do this in just a little bit. He gave me an idea about making sure that those capacitors are shorted and so on. But then I got another one. This is really cool from Paul, NT7U. He's already got his parts ready to go. He's getting there. It's just on and on and on. I could be here all night reading these, but I just wanted to sort out a couple of them because it really warms my heart that all of the time that all of us here at the Twit Network do to make this stuff happen. And boy, everybody's going, yeah. So we're thrilled about that. Well, one of the biggest questions I have is, where do I get parts? And I showed it a couple of times so far, but we're going to go through this again. There's a lot of places that you can buy parts. You don't ever let somebody say, oh, you can't buy parts. Yeah, well, you can buy parts. You can get a lot of parts. And one of the reasons you go to Hamfest is to find parts. When people go to the Hamfest and go out and look around the flea market, we're looking for stuff that we can build. There's the main ones right there. Antique Electronic Supply is really, that's the main one that I see. Gateway Electronics, get capacitors and stuff. Somebody had written me they couldn't get capacitors. Well, there they are. Vacuumtubes.com. That's the best place to buy tubes. And then ESRC, vacuumtubes.com. They have all kinds of things. I got those ceramic sockets. I got my socket you're going to see here in just a couple minutes. I got all that from them. So there's a lot of places that you can buy parts. And don't forget Mouser. Mouser's got a lot of parts, as well as DigiKey, DIGIKEY. And the Mouser's MOUSER. Go and look at their sites, and you'll see what I mean. They're up there. The one thing that we talked about was, of course, trying to figure out what we're doing. And we want to do more than just build all this stuff. But as we go along, we want to let you see and really understand how this stuff works. Now, I told you a minute ago, we had a really nice thing come in about, there we go, about the safety. Man, I'll tell you, there were so many guys and gals that sent us in things about safety. And so what we wanted to do is to let you, once again, I'm not going to fire it all up just due to time restraints, but what we want to do is think about our safety. And remember, Chip, MIT, came up with this great idea of what we're going to call the chipstick. And then KA7TPH came up with a little modification. So whenever you turn these things on, everything's fine. But when you turn it off, you can even unplug it. Let me tell you, these capacitors, that's what they're supposed to do. They do it well. They'll charge 300 volts and hold it for a long time. You want to make sure you get rid of that. And so what you do is you clip this little guy here. Remember, we built this last week. That's on the ground. And take that, put it up at the B+ point, and just hold it on. And as you saw on the meter, it will discharge and take it all the way to ground. Now, there's one other thing that I got a really nice idea, as I read a second ago for you, and this is great. Take a regular clip lead, put it on the ground after you've taken the chip clip and you've got everything all discharged, and go up here, and while you're working on it or just letting it sit around, do that, and there's no problem with that voltage coming back to you. It's very important because we're dealing with 300 volts there, and we're not going to use all of that. We're going to have some dropping resistors and stuff like that for the rest of it. Now, here's a very important thing. If you haven't been listening, listen. This is very, very important. International Crystal has been the place ever since I got in this hobby. The crystal down there in that 1956 Harvey Wells I bought in 1956 from them. They are closing. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm telling you what to do. I would do it immediately. I did it again this week. Go out and order your crystals for this project. I bought, what you want is, this is the catalog. And what that tells them is it's a 25C holder at 8 puffs, and that's the frequency of the crystal, but then they grind it down to 3885. So take all of this information down and call them. None of this email crap. Call them. You have a telephone. Call them. I know you can go in there and no, don't do that. Call them. 800-725-1426 for those that's listening on podcast. International Crystals in Oklahoma. 800-725-1426. Call them and tell them that you want the crystals for the pine board project. They'll probably know what you're looking for, but there's all the numbers to give them. You want the frequency of 3.885, 75 meters, 3.885. I would buy a 40-meter crystal also, 7.290. And we don't know where it's going. Could continue on. We don't know. I'm just telling you that they're going out of business. Wow, sad is this? Hopefully somebody will pick it up somewhere. But in the meantime, if we get going here in this project, you won't have a crystal. So I would advise you to buy the crystals. They'll never go bad, and you use them in all kinds of other projects also. What's going to happen next, and I've started to work on it, is going to be the mic preamp. The mic preamp is going to be made up, and I'm not sure yet, because I'm still experimenting with this, if we're going to do it with one 12AX7 or two. Because I'm thinking about doing a preamp with a little bit of equalization. You know how important equalization is. And so what we want to maybe do is do another one, and I'll build it. Hey, that's what this is all about. Do both of them. It's all modular, isn't it? So do the other one. And the second one is going to look like this. This is the one with the equalization in it. And maybe we can do that one. I can guarantee you I'll have both of them. But you just connect a couple of wires on the front, a couple of wires on the back, and bingo, you can go either way. But I'll have more about that in the next week or two. This one's very special. It's got a transformer balanced input for XLR balanced microphones like the PR40 or PR22, PR20, any kind of balanced. That's how that works. For unbalanced dynamics, it'll go in here. And the 12AX7 is going to be the first stage preamp. But then here's all the equalization. That's how we're going to do it. Treble, bass, and mid, 3-band. And we'll have a bright switch also. These are this thing I'm dreaming about. So what you do next is you put it together and listen to it. Hook it up to an amplifier and talk in a microphone, see if you like it. You can change things around. That's what this is all about, everybody. You're going to build it. It's yours. Here's another one I got. And it's very simple, very simple. And so that might work also. And there again, we might build all three of them. I don't know. All I can tell you is we're going to do something. We're going to build something, and it's going to work. I've already collected a few parts, and I'll show you what's going on here. This is kind of fun. I got the board. Well, I think I told you that last time. The time before maybe. I had the boards made up. I cut the boards out and got them all prettied up with some stuff. I'm not happy with this. I'll probably cut this in half. I don't know. But there again, this is what all this is about. The preamp will have either one or two 12AX7s. It will have that potentiometer. If we do the other with equalization, maybe I'll put it all. I haven't figured it out yet. But you see, this is how you start. You lay it out and figure out from the schematic where we're going to go. And that is so important when you're at this stage trying to figure out where everything's going to go. And boy, it's easy on pine board if you have metal. Oh, buddy, you're cutting and chomping and drilling, and so it gets to be a very, very convoluted, making it all happen. But I just love doing some of this stuff, and I'm enamored that you guys and gals are showing me such incredible response. I mean, it's not one or two. It's probably over this week time, pretty close to 100. And I just picked out a couple because I want you to know these are real people that's very involved in what we're doing. And so we want to make sure we get our tubes. I forgot to show you, this is the 12AX7 that I got from Mike. And this is what we're going to be doing right here, this little guy. See, there's two tubes in there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's two halves. There's two actual tubes in there. It's like two 6C4s. Well, it's a 12AX7, has a lot of gain. The transmitter tube is a 12AU7, looks just like it, doesn't have quite as much gain. So that's how we do it. And those are things you might want to go ahead and acquire. A 12AX7 and a 12AU7, we know we're going to use them. 12AU7 is going to be the transmitter. So there you go. I showed you this, I didn't talk about it. AM Phone Net. AM F-O-N-E. Phone is with an F. amphone.net. This is a billboard. Like, it's just all kinds of great things there. And you want to go check into that. See what's going on. And next week, we're going to have the information, the full information from Clark Burgard. He's coming on because April the 1st is not April Fool's Day when it comes to AM. There's a huge event coming up. It's an amateur radio special event for AM operation. And even though you have sideband rigs, almost every one of them are great on AM. And we're going to show you next week how to do that. Here's all the stuff that we'll be talking about. So don't miss all that. The AM rally, it's going to be on Saturday, April the 1st. And I'll guarantee you I will be there along with a lot of others because AM has really blown up. I'm really thrilled because I've been working AM all my life and kind of went in the doldrums during the 2000 all the way up through. But I'll tell you what, the last 4 or 5 years, wow. And we have to respect the AM window. A lot of people don't know about this. It was formed back in the 50s. I was a young chap, and I was in the middle of all that. I was there watching, listening to it happen. I didn't have anything to do with it, but I knew what happened. And the sideband started in and taking over the frequencies, and it was just a war. So what they did, they sat down at a table and said, okay, gentleman's agreement. AM window on 75 is 3870 to 3890. Just keep your sideband and CW and whatever out of there. It's reserved for the AM. Now, you see, you can only get 4 or 5 contacts in there on AM. I thought it was very generous of the AM community to do that because the sidebanders, you've got hundreds of frequencies on the rest of the band. 40 meters, it's 7290 to 7295. We only have 2 frequencies. But please observe that. Please spread that word. 3870 to 3890 because you are going to be right in the middle of that with some of this, having all kinds of fun. I can't wait. So that's pretty much it for the week. There's just so much to do, but I wanted to let you know we're cranking. And next week, be a little further along on the preamp, and maybe we'll start building. I might have it done. It just depends on what happens this week in my own life. So that's it from the Pine Board project. We're going to get into more stuff here next week. I thank everybody for all of your response. We just had hundreds of things going on here in the last few weeks. It's amazing, and so keep them coming, and we'll all make it happen. So in the meantime, let's go see what Don's got to say about DX Engineering.
It is officially spring and not a moment too soon. And spring is the perfect time to inspect and repair your tower and your antennas. I put a new antenna up over the weekend. Yeah, you can get out there and do yours too. Make sure yours are up to snuff with high-quality tower parts and accessories from DX Engineering. From ice to wind, guy lines take a beating over the winter, so check them out now for proper tension. Out-of-spec guy lines aren't just dangerous, they'll cause premature wear to the entire guying system. And DX Engineering carries professional spec guy line tension gauges from Cableware division of Luce & Company. They come in 3 versions depending on the guy line diameter that you have. Luce also makes a high-quality guy line clamp kit to make sure your guys will stay at the proper tension. 6 clamps come in the kit, and they'll fit most common guy line diameters. And Luce & Company guy line thimbles are the proper way to terminate your guy lines without any risk of nicks, cuts, or any other damage. And they'll work with both clamp and big grip style dead ends. Filastrand guy lines and accessories are the go-to guy lines for both amateur and commercial. The guy lines are constructed of super strong aramid fiber, but the best part is that Filastrand guy lines are electrically transparent. That means they won't have any adverse effects on your antenna pattern. Filastrand also offers its big grip dead ends to finish your guy line installation. The dead ends are made specifically for the Filastrand non-metallic high-performance guy lines. They're color-coded for easier identification, and they're galvanized to resist corrosion. I want you to check out DX Engineering's new Filastrand tail kits, too. And if you're going to roll your own tower and antenna system, do it before the weather gets cold. The DX Engineering heavy-duty 4130 chromoly masts are a really good place to start. These masts are super strong, perfectly suited to ham radio applications. Galvanized steel masks have a coating that meets ASTM A123M specifications. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's good because it's from DX Engineering. The masts are built to handle large antennas with certified yield stress rating over 100,000 PSI and a minimum Rockwell hardness of 96. They're available in 2 or 3 inch outside diameters, 1/4 inch wall thickness for extra rigidity. You can get them in 22-foot sections, and shipping is always easy and hassle-free at DX Engineering. Not sure what size mast you need? Well, visit the dxengineering.com exclusive free mast load estimator design tool. Everything you need for your antenna installation you can find at DX Engineering, and they ship faster than anybody else in the industry. If you get your order in by 10 p.m. Eastern, and if it's in stock, it'll be on a truck headed your way tonight. Proven products, expert advice, DX Engineering helps you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24/7, 365 at dxengineering.com/hamnation. dxengineering.com/hamnation. Thank you, DX Engineering, for your support of Ham Nation.
And thank you, Don, for that message. I've got a DX Engineering sport bag that I'm going to be giving away here in just a few minutes, so don't go away. Don will be back, too, with Newsline shortly. But right now, I want to just bring up something that I talked about 5 years ago. You know, we've got digital radios out there now that everybody sounds very similar on. Everybody's volume is good. That's because there's more consistency, because people are generally buying the radios already set up. With EchoLink, though, people are building their own EchoLink nodes and using their own computers, different microphones. Every station could potentially be set up a little bit different. And what happens? Well, they don't always all sound the same. So here's a few tips and some of my EchoLink pet peeves.
I thought it might be a good time to discuss a couple of problems that people seem to keep having with EchoLink. Connecting, or if you do connect, you time out, and audio levels. Those just seem to keep coming up. So let's go over that and see what can be done. Let's talk about audio devices first. We'll click on Tools and then Adjust Sound Devices and Playback. And that'll bring up the Windows volume control that lets us see the playback level of the sound card. There may be several volume sliders there, but we only need the wave and the volume sliders. If there's a line in, we click Mute on that because we don't want to feed the line in back out through our speakers. Now, if you're just plugging in a microphone and using EchoLink with the computer alone, then this setting is not going to be that critical. It would mostly just adjust the volume you want to hear out of your speakers or headphones. However, if you're connecting a radio with the computer to use EchoLink, then these settings become critical. In that case, the playback levels are adjusting the mic level that's feeding the radio. And you need to be careful. You want the VU to show right about here where it's just barely beginning to show yellow. You don't want it too low, and you certainly don't want it slapping the end of the scale either. Next, we want to check what Windows calls the record level, so we click on Options and Properties, and then we click the Recording button, and it shows a list down there in the bottom of the window of the different inputs that you can have for your sound card. Now, if you've got line in, that's definitely what you want to use. Do not use microphone there unless that's all you've got. You'll come out of the speaker jack on the radio and feed the line in of your sound card. When we were adjusting the playback controls earlier, that was actually adjusting the modulation input of the radio that we had connected. It picks up the audio that's coming from another EchoLink station over the internet and adjusts the level, feeding the radio. Now, for the recording control, we're doing right the opposite. We're adjusting the level that's coming over the air from the speaker out of the radio and feeding back into the computer, and that adjusts the level that the people listening on another EchoLink node will hear. We want to adjust it the same, being careful that we just get into the yellow, don't have it too high or too low. Now, in many cases, you'll be able to get away with just running simple patch cords between the radio and the computer. However, in some cases, you might have problems with hum or RFI or level matching. In that case, you'll need a little interface to go with the rig. And if you look back at episode 7 of AmateurLogic.tv, we introduced EchoLink in that show and also showed how you could build a small audio interface to use between a rig and a computer. That's enough about audio, so let's talk about the internet side of EchoLink now. We'll want to go to the Windows Start button and access the control panel. We'll choose Network Connections, and we'll locate our LAN card, which is, in this case, Local Area Connection 3. We'll right-click that and then choose Properties. Now, what we're going to need to do is configure a static IP address for this computer. By default, Windows sets up all its connections as dynamic hosts, so your router is assigning an IP address. That's not going to work here because the router is going to be responsible for routing the information coming in on certain ports from the internet to this particular computer. And the only way it's going to know to locate this computer is by its IP address. So we'll choose Internet Protocol, TCP/IP, and then we'll choose Properties. And now here you can see that I have already entered an IP address for this computer. Normally, Windows would have it set to obtain an IP address automatically, but we need it set to use the following IP address. In this case, I have assigned 192.168.0.112 as the IP address for my EchoLink computer. Now, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 in most cases, and the default gateway on my machine here and my network is 192.168.0.1. I also use the preferred DNS server with the same number. Now, this could be different depending on who you're using for an internet service provider. A lot of DSL folks will find the default gateway and preferred DNS settings are different than the address of your router. That's a little beyond the scope of what I can cover here since there's so many different possible combinations. The main thing I wanted to point out was you need a static IP address so that EchoLink will work properly. Now let's bring up Internet Explorer just to make sure that our internet connection is working, and it appears that it is. Now let's go to EchoLink. We'll choose Tools and Setup, then we'll choose Proxy, and we'll note that by default EchoLink is set to Direct Connect, no proxy. That's where you want it, if at all possible. And there's another setting down here, Use Specific Proxy, but that's not the preferred way. We will talk about it later, though. Now, the next thing we need to do is go into the setup screen of our router. On my particular D-Link router here, I use Internet Explorer, and I go to 192.168.0.1, and that brings up my router's setup page. I'll go to the Advanced tab, and then I need to set some port forwarding rules. If you look, you'll notice that I've set up two different port forwarding rules here. Both of them have the IP address of my EchoLink computer that I entered earlier. That's 192.168.0.112. On the top port forwarding rule, I set that one up for a traffic type of UDP, and I set a start range of 5198 and an end range of 5199. On the second port forwarding rule, I use the same IP address. This one I set the traffic type to TCP and the address to 5200. EchoLink requires these exact ports to work properly. If you don't have them set right, then you'll get that dreaded timeout error. If you do have your computer, EchoLink, and your router set up for proper port forwarding, and you still can't connect or you still get timeout errors, then it's possible that the firewall on your computer or your antivirus or anti-malware program could be blocking the ports. You could try setting an exception for EchoLink in these programs, and that might possibly work. To determine if one of them is at fault, though, you might try temporarily disabling it and see if that helps. There could be times when it's just not possible to set a port forwarding rule in a router, like in the case when you're visiting a friend or you're at a hotel. Fortunately, there is a workaround for this. Go to Tools, and then choose Setup, and choose Proxy. As I mentioned earlier, by default, EchoLink prefers that you use direct connection, no proxy. But we're going to choose Public Proxy. We'll click Refresh List to get a listing of the currently available proxies on the Internet. A proxy is simply a server that someone's graciously provided that can do the port forwarding for you, and it'll send you the EchoLink data over a typical port that's normally open on your computer. The reason that you wouldn't normally want to do this is because of latency and the fact that these proxies come and go. So each time you connect to EchoLink, you might have to find a different proxy. I'll choose a proxy from the list that looks like it's somewhere near my location, at least the same country when possible, then click OK. And it says proxy connected, fetching data, and it looks like we're connected to EchoLink. So this is one way to get around the problems of port forwarding, but as I said earlier, only when you have to. Now, we've looked at Windows XP today, and the reason I did that is because my EchoLink machine runs Windows XP. The settings on Windows 7 and other operating systems will be a little different. Basically, you need to do the same thing no matter which operating system you're running. I hope these tips have helped a little bit, and we won't be hearing distorted audio or timeout quite as often in the future. Good luck and happy EchoLinking.
And I hope that helps a few people out there. You know, that's really the two big problems that I see with EchoLink more often than anything else. So there, follow those tips, and you should be able to get right on with it. Well, I mentioned earlier we've got a DX Engineering Sport Bag we're going to give away tonight. This nice one right here. Well, no, not this one. This one is mine, and I take it with me to Dayton Hamvention or wherever I'm going to a ham fest. Great prize there. Somebody is going to win in a moment. First, let's give away what we had for last week. That's the MFJ 270 surge suppressor. It's a gas block type surge suppressor. Put it in line with your coax. Protects your gear from dangerous lightning surges. Well, our question came from the Book of Gordo, the general class license guide from Gordon West. And, you know, I always recommend Gordo's books when you're studying for an exam. He does such a good job of explaining everything in there. The question we've got: on which of the following bands is phone operation prohibited? Your choices were 160 meters, 30 meters, 17 meters, or 12 meters. Well, we had a winner, and that is Andrew Lee, WD5PUR. And Andrew said, well, it's 30 meters, of course, and that's correct. you can't do voice modes on 30 meters. So congratulations, Andrew. We'll be sending you out this MFJ Guardian Angel Search suppressor here. Now, what are we going to ask for? A question on the DX Engineering Sport Bag. I wanted something to go with Bob's Pine Board project tonight. And I think I got a good question here that some of you will know the answer to. What is the filament voltage of a 12AX7 tube? If you think you know the filament voltage of a 12AX7 tube, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you might win this DX Engineering Sport Bag. And now, as promised, Don Wilbanks is standing by, and, well, he's got Newsline for us, and I think maybe a solar weather report as well.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report, number 2055, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. International Crystal Manufacturing, the longtime supplier to the amateur radio community, is going out of business.
International Crystal Manufacturing, once one of the suppliers of crystals for Collins Radio, will be closing its doors by the end of May. The Oklahoma City company manufactures precision crystals, quartz crystals, oscillators, filters, and other products, and has been in business since 1950. A letter on the company's website from Royden Freeland Jr., W5EMH, the son of the company's founder, said the company will honor all pending orders and would try to fill a limited number of new orders depending on the availability of raw materials. International Crystal is considered one of the few remaining makers of crystal products based in the United States. ICM expanded from crystals into other electronics in the 1980s, following the 1978 death of the founder and his wife in an airplane crash. It eventually went back to its core manufacture of crystals in the 1990s after selling much of its distribution and equipment business. In addition to being a Collins supplier, ICM also provided materials to Radio Shack, which has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy for a second time and announced that many of its 5,900 employees and 1,500 remaining stores would be impacted. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Mike Askins, KE5CXP in Shawnee, Oklahoma.
Shortwave listeners and scanner enthusiasts around Cincinnati are making use of a resource to monitor themselves as well as radio signals. But you don't have to be a local to take part.
In the greater Cincinnati area, there is a group of avid radio monitors who listen to all kinds of RF. Calling themselves Monix, they have been the source for SWL and scanner listeners in the area for years. Monix was founded in 1983 as an informal club of scanner enthusiasts, shortwave listeners, DXers, and others who share an interest in the hobby of radio monitoring. Monix is a full-spectrum, all-mode club covering all aspects of radio monitoring from DC to daylight. Monix covers the Cincinnati-Dayton metropolitan area, southwestern Ohio, southeastern Indiana, and northern Kentucky. Monix is an open group. Anyone, anywhere may join, and if you're a radio hobbyist, this is the place to be. They have a group on Yahoo, which can be found by searching Yahoo Groups for MONIX, also a Facebook group as well. For more information, visit the Monix website at monix.net. Covering your amateur radio news in the greater Cincinnati area and the Commonwealth of Kentucky for Amateur News Weekly, this is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.
Our thanks to Amateur News Weekly. A big part of the Dayton Hamvention are the various dinners.
The Southwest Ohio DX Association has announced that Ruth Willett, KM4LAO, will keynote its 32nd annual DX dinner held in conjunction with the 2017 Dayton Hamvention. Her topic will be experiencing the hobby of a lifetime. Ruth is still basking in the thrill of last year's enviable ham radio DX adventure.
So I was a member of the 2016 Dave Coulter Memorial Youth DX Adventure. We traveled to the island of Saba last August. We operated on satellites as well as HF. Getting to put Saba on the air was quite the adventure.
You can hear Ruth's talk at the DX dinner on Friday, May 19th at the Dayton Marriott, 1414 South Patterson Boulevard, starting with a social hour at 5:30 p.m. For more information and to order tickets, visit swodxaevents.org. Reporting for Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Neil Rapp, WB9 VPG.
Hamvention is rapidly approaching. May 19th, 20th, and 21st are the dates. Everything you need to know is at hamvention.org. For the rest of this week's amateur radio news, please listen to the full Amateur Radio Newsline report online on a repeater near you or on shortwave radio station WTWW at 9930 and 5085 kilohertz. The nominating period for the 2017 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Young Ham of the Year Award is now open and runs through May 31st. You can find the nominating form on our website, arnewsline.org, under the YHOTY tab. We'll present the award to a deserving young amateur at the Huntsville, Alabama Hamfest in August. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Mike Askins, KE5CXP, Jack Prindle, AB4WS, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
We are in the middle of a solar storm that's been giving us aurora all over the world for the past day or so, and it's going to last the next 24 hours, and then we got another one right on its heels. Those stories and more in the news this week. Even though the sun has had virtually no sunspots over the past 2 weeks, that doesn't mean there's been a lull in activity. We are being hit right now by a solar storm from this massive coronal hole that has rotated into the Earth strike zone. It's sending us fast wind right now and has been over the past 24 hours. We've had gorgeous aurora shows all the way down to the Netherlands and even up to Victoria, Australia. And just on its heels, we have another coronal hole that's going to be rotating into the Earth strike zone probably in about 10 days. So we're going to have about 2 weeks of some good solar storming. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, you can see the levels are still extremely low. We've been pretty spotless for quite a while now, so you expect these levels to be low. They're really below the seafloor, which means there aren't any issues for your amateur radio operators or you GPS operators. We are getting a few new spots on the sun right now that are rotating onto the east limb. Those will probably give us a few B-class flares, but really, it's nothing to worry about, and the trend is going to continue. Switching to our solar storm conditions, you can see the last time we actually had some decent activity was about 2 weeks ago. Since then, things continue to get quieter and quieter and quieter until finally you can see a little activity and then bam, there's the solar storm that's hitting us now. It started off strong and it's kind of diminished a little bit, but it's still been enough to give us some decent aurora. Like I said, clear down to the Netherlands and even up to Australia, which is pretty good for considering that this is just a minor storm. But this kind of storming will continue easily on and off for the next day or so, maybe even 2 days. So you amateur radio operators, you're going to have to deal with this evenly over the next day, but things should calm down maybe through the weekend, and then it'll pick up again once that new solar storm hits us from that other coronal hole. Switching to your solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are in the middle of that solar storm that's due to that fast wind that's hitting Earth right now. NOAA's expecting minor storm conditions with about a 60% chance of a major storm at high latitudes over the next day or so. At mid latitudes, we're only expecting about active conditions with about a 25% chance of minor storm conditions. Now, this should continue kind of on and off over the next couple days, and if we have that stealthy storm that was launched kind of in the middle of the fast wind that we're in right now, if that actually intensifies the storm, these conditions could linger on in through Friday and possibly into Saturday before things begin to calm down. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see just whether or not that particular storm, that wispy storm, is actually going to make things worse or just fizzle away. Switching to your solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week, I know I sound like a broken record, but everything is still in the green when it comes to flares, and it will be like that for probably the foreseeable future. We do have a couple regions that are rotating into Earth view off of the east limb, but they should only bring us about B-class level flares, and that's really nothing to worry about for either you amateur radio operators or you GPS operators. The one good thing that these regions bring into view is more solar flux, because we're kind of lingering at the marginal edge of even having radio propagation. So this is good news for your ham radio operators. We are still getting enough flux for propagation, but things over this week will probably be still a bit dicey. So despite having near spotless sun for over 2 weeks, we are still getting solar activity. We are in the middle of a solar storm right now that's been giving us gorgeous aurora all over the world, and there's more to come. This storm should last for the next day or two, maybe into the early part of the weekend, and then we'll have some quiet, and then yet another solar storm is going to hit us when more fast wind hits us from yet another coronal hole. So you aurora photographers, keep your shutter fingers ready, because you're going to be very busy over the next 10 days to 2 weeks. As far as you amateur radio operators are concerned, you're kind of going to have to tough it out for, maybe 2 weeks. But you've got this little hole that's going to happen probably late Saturday in through Sunday where things should be. So you might actually be able to get on the bands for a little while and do some contesting or something. But outside of that, you're going to have to just hang on and wait for the quiet. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to honor a fallen hero of mine. Matt Parker, the president of the American Meteorological Society, has died. He passed just this last week. He was a dear colleague and friend of mine, and he was a champion of space weather. Matt, I'll miss our long talks and our brainstorming sessions on how to bring space weather and space weather broadcasting into the AMS. But I promise you, I will continue to press on towards this collective vision for the benefit of both the space weather community and the public. I miss you.
And thanks for that, Don and Dr. Scove. Coronal holes coming back. We all know how painful those can be. Well, right now, let's get a message from Icom, and we'll be right back.
It's time to put away those winter boots and spring forward with Icom. Base stations, mobile transceivers, handhelds, and more, Icom has all the equipment to help make your spring full of adventure. Get out and get mobile with Icom. Communicate with the touch of your fingertips. Perfect for small spaces, the IC7100 is the ideal D-Star option to help communicate anywhere. Angled control head and touchscreen for quick intuitive operation, large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and it's perfect for multiband and all-mode communications. Do you have spring travel plans this year? Back for a limited time, the IC7200 is a great option for hams wanting a device to carry out into the field. Simple and tough with IFDSP, digital noise reduction, and USB port for PC control. Ideal for the ham on the go. Try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design, RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, SD memory card slot, and more. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all Icom radios.
And you can tune in and enter to win after this episode and each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation. Register to win great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. While you're there, learn how you could win in the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for March, that's going to be the Icom ID 51A Plus 2, dual band, dual watch, VHF, UHF handheld, analog and D-Star, built-in GPS receiver, DV and FM repeater list function, independent AM/FM receiver. You can get a free Android app for it, and much more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow Icom America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And now, it's Val, and you've got a special guest tonight with you, don't you, Val?
I do. Hey, spring is in the air. It's been a great week because we started spring. The Badgers beat Villanova to make the Sweet 16. And you know what that means? Hamvention's only 57 days and 12 hours away, which means Contest University is 56 days away. So I have Tim Duffy with us, and we're going to talk about the upcoming Contest University. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, Val, how are you? It's great to be here tonight from Pennsylvania.
Looking good. Hey, you have a lot more awards on your wall than mine. I got to get to work on that. I did just get a new one on the wall, though, so nice background there, Tim. So Contest University coming up this year. We've got some great professors, right? I know Dr. T is going to be there. Why don't you tell the people about Contest University and what that offers?
Well, this is our 11th year, and we're really excited about this. The registration is on track now to break a new record. Last year, we had 260 attend. This year, we'll have probably 300 students attend at Contest University. And we've always got great surprises. But the big thing about this is that people get to learn about contest operating and HF operating and about building stations. And that's really exciting. We're very, very pleased to have Dr. Tamitha Scove join us this year, and she will address the entire group of 300 at ham, at this very big ham radio, deal with Contest University, where we spend a whole day getting into the nuts and bolts of station building and operating and DXing and contesting and doing it the right way. We've also got Rob Sherwood, who is the recognized world expert on receivers. He's going to talk about some of the new technology and SDR. Frank Donovan, a W3LPL, who has taught for many, many years, is going to give 3 different sessions. Joel Harrison, W5ZN, is going to give several different sessions. So we have a lot of great things that are going on at Contest University. It's jam-packed, Val. It goes from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's the fastest day you can spend learning about amateur radio.
Now, when people want to sign up, just kind of let them know, too. There's so many courses available. I think there were about 26 or something like that, maybe. Does that sound about right?
That's right. There's 4 classrooms that run pretty much the entire day, and there's 26 classes. So it's tough to make the choice of where you're going to go and what you're going to see. And but they can go to contestuniversity.com, and they'll get to see this exact screen here, and they can take a look at videos and PowerPoint files from previous years, so you can actually see what happens at Contest University. But it's contestuniversity.com, and there's still some space available. Today we got 10 more students that signed up, so it's signing up fast. And we get together on Wednesday night for a great pizza party at the Crown Plaza in downtown Dayton. This is the day, actually the registration is 2 days before the Hamvention officially opens, and then Contest University is on Thursday before Hamvention, so you can spend the whole day learning about operating contests, operating HF, some VHF tips. We have a whole section on digital contesting and learning about RIDI and JT65. It's an incredible day. A big, thick textbook, textbooks from previous years. Yeah. Let's see that, Val. There we go.
Ever since I got into contesting, I've never missed one, and Jerry's been to every single one, all 11 years, and you can see it's pretty thick. And it's got all the photos from all the slides. So, and it's not just contesting. There's a lot of things on improving antennas, improving your station, a lot of good stuff in there. And what's really nice is you can pick and choose which classes you want to hit. So it doesn't have to necessarily be just contesting focus. You can focus on your station. Now, I know you have some discounts available, too, if they want to talk about it at their club meetings or things like that. Is that correct?
Yes. We're very pro-club oriented. So if a prospective student has talked at a club or written an article for the club newsletter, anything about amateur radio that they give to a club, that qualifies them for a $10 discount. And they just select that on the website when they sign up to come to Contest University in Dayton. And, Contest University originated in Dayton, and it has now been held in more than 15 countries around the world. But the home of Contest University is Dayton, Ohio, and we're very excited to bring it back here for 2017.
And that includes your breakfast buffet Thursday morning. It includes a box lunch in the afternoon, and then cookies and coffee throughout the day, or something like that.
That's right. So you won't go hungry. And the great thing is you're going to meet new friends. You're going to make new friends with guys from all over the world. We have folks that are already registered from Japan, from Australia, from England, a whole group coming from the Netherlands. It's just phenomenal, some of the people that have signed up. And so you're going to get a chance to interact with all these people throughout the day, as well as ask questions and learn things and write down notes to make your HF experience, your contest experience, your antenna experience even better.
And are there any rooms available that Wednesday night? I know Crown Plaza sold out probably Thursday through Sunday, but are there still rooms available Wednesday night for those who want to go to Contest U and stay there?
Well, the Crown Plaza sold out within an hour. It's like a rock concert when the Crown Plaza opens up that block that we have. And so the best thing to do is to call the Crown Plaza about 2 weeks before Contest University, and they'll have some cancellations and you'll have an opportunity to get into the Crown Plaza. But there are neighboring hotels around the Crown Plaza in downtown Dayton that do have rooms available on Wednesday night before Hamvention, and that's before Contest University, and that's a great place to look as well. But we'll do everything we can to help folks. But boy, the waiting list at the Crown Plaza is impressive.
Even for the Wednesday, huh? That's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. It's a great thing.
And I know you have the Super Suite, which is free pizza and a great place to gather. We always normally do our Hamvention, our Ham Nation from the Super Suite that Wednesday night before the thing. So that's always a lot of fun as well. And with the contest dinner, are you guys sold out on the contest dinner Saturday night?
We're getting close on that. We have this is the 25th anniversary, so it's the silver anniversary. And, it's amazing to think that 25 years ago, we started this contest dinner on Saturday night. And you can go to contestdinner.com to get tickets. There's still some seats available. There'll be over 500 people attend, and it is going to be an amazing evening. There's the Contest Hall of Fame announcements will be announced. There's a lot of things going on with the World Radio Team Championship 2018 announcements. It is an amazing evening of celebration of contest operating and fellowship through amateur radio. And you talked about those pizza parties, Val. They happen 4 nights at Dayton, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. And you can go to contestsupersuite.com to get the whole lineup. And of course, Val, we haven't even talked about the Spurious Emissions Band.
I was just going to bring that up. If you're going to pick one night to go to the Super Suite, it's got to be Friday night because that's when they play usually, right?
That is, and that's Ward Silver and Sean and Scott and Kirk, K4RO, the Spurious Emissions Band. They actually had a rehearsal here 2 weeks ago in Nashville, Tennessee, where they got together and they've got, they said they have 9 new songs that they're going to debut at the Friday night at the Contest Super Suite. It's actually in the presidential ballroom now, where we can have about 600 people on Friday night, starting at about 10 o'clock at night, and they play for 1 hour, and it is absolute magic. And
it's free to get in, even if you don't go to Contest U. Take a cab, get over to the Crown Plaza Friday night because it's definitely worth seeing. The Spurious Emissions, Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Ham, the Beatles, Baby You Can Climb My Tower. Such great hits they play, and you're going to have a blast.
You're going to have a blast. And Val, you talked about the fact that, you and Bob Heil will be there on Wednesday night.
I'm not sure if we're doing the show live Wednesday night, but yeah, normally we've done that. We still haven't worked out that if we're going to be able to do that this year because of the new location and timing things. We're not quite sure, so we'll keep you guys posted if we're going to be doing it live that Wednesday night. So that's still on the fence right now.
Okay, very good.
All right. And so you don't have to go to Contest U if you want to go to Contest Dinner, or vice versa. They're all separate things. So contestuniversity.com, contestsupersweet.com, and what's the Contest Dinner?
It's contestdinner.com.
Okay.
And of course,
GoDaddy loves you. Well, thanks, Tim, for joining us. Appreciate it. And I'm going to see you in 56 days and 12 hours.
All right. We'll
Maybe
see you
last
there,
for
Val.
registration the day before. Yeah.
Thanks for having me on tonight.
Oh, very good. And here's this week's DX report.
And now it's time for this week's DX Files. Now we've got Tonga coming up. That's actually starting today, and it's going to be through the 28th on Naiafu'u Island in Tonga, Alpha 35 Juliet Papa. Albania also starts today, and that's Zulu Alpha stroke Papa Alpha 2 Lima Sierra. And we've also got Haiti going on, and that's now through March 24th. So that's only a couple days left to get the Hotel 8. Belize starting up on the 24th and only through the 28th. Victor 31, Victor Papa. And this weekend is a really big contest. The WPX Sideband Contest is this weekend. And what's great about this one is you can work anybody and everybody. The U.S., Canada, Europe, doesn't matter. Everybody's worth points. And that's this week's edition of the DX Files.
And after hearing Dr. T's solar report for this weekend, we're going to need all of you to get on the air for WPX Sideband, especially if you have a weird prefix like I do at November Victor. Not a lot of those. There's a lot of Kilo 9s and November 9s. But so if you have a very unusual prefix, get on the air. You're going to draw a huge pile up, and you're going to have a blast. So that's all I've got. And when you're out there on Sideband, I'm going to also restate what Bob said earlier. Please try and stay away from 3870 through 3890 and 7290 through 7295. Just write that on a do not or whatever and stick it above your monitor when you're contesting, so you know to stay away from those bands. Let the AM folks have their band, or their slot on the band. So that's all I've got. I'm going to pass it to Amanda. Got a lot of good questions.
I do have some great questions, by the way. And Tim, I'm going to direct some of them to you, if you don't mind. And it's nice to have you on the show tonight. Our first question comes from WB3BJU. He says he's getting ready to replace the grease in his rotator. And is bicycle chain lube a good grease, or any other recommendations? And along with that, when you do grease it, how often do you need to grease those rotators?
You need a low temperature grease, Amanda. It's real important. Bicycle chain grease might not be the best for that. You need a low temperature grease, because especially, if he's in Texas, maybe not so much, but if he's up north, it's important to have a lithium grease that can go to temperatures, down around zero and so forth. I had a good friend up in Alaska that used to put lithium grease in his rotators, and they were good to minus 20, minus 30. If you don't break apart a rotator like the high gain rotators, the Ham 4s or the tail twisters, the grease that's in there should last a long time. But if you have the rotator apart, it's a good idea to re-grease it and to use low temperature grease for the ball bearings.
Okay, very good to know. Now, personally, I can't remember the model number exactly, but it's a Yaesu rotator. How are those? Should I be out there trying to grease it already here in the Colorado weather where we get low temperatures as well as high temperatures? What do you suggest?
It's always my mantra: if it's not broke, let's not go and fix it. So, if it's working, let's leave it alone, because, rotators are only going at very slow speeds, basically 1 revolution per minute. It should take about 60 seconds to go the entire 360 degrees. So you really don't need to break them apart unless there's a problem. And so I wouldn't be worried about taking them down periodically to grease them. I don't do it here. I leave the grease that's in there unless there's a problem.
Okay, good to know. Thank you so much, Tim, for that. I don't think we've ever talked about that. That's very helpful. All right, the next question, Tim, I'm going to send it to you first, and I bet Bob has some comments on this as well. We're all hearing that International Crystal is obviously going out of business now. we all have a lot of Master 2s and all these other radios that we use still. What are we going to do for crystals?
You know, I'm thrilled that you're asking me this question, because I lived in Oklahoma City for 14 years. And when I was a novice back in the early 70s, I had to buy crystals from International Crystal Manufacturing. So when I moved to Oklahoma City in 1999, the first thing I did was go to 10 Lee Street, and there they were. And Daryl, WA3OPY, who's the engineering manager there, and I became good friends. We had lunch every Friday when I lived there. And Royden, Freeland, who was the owner of the company and the son of the founder, with phenomenal family and a great company. There are smaller companies, not necessarily located in the United States, that can help us with crystals going forward. But like Bob said, we're very, very hopeful that somebody will come in and buy what is left of International Crystal Manufacturing and make a go of it, maybe combine it with another company, and so that this will live on. So I'm not going to panic just yet. Daryl, WA3OPY, is going to be at Contest University in Dayton, and so those of you who are coming to CTU will get a chance to talk to Daryl, and he's been with ICM for many, many years, and he'll be a great resource on what's next for ICM.
Very good. Well, I thank you so much, Tim, for that input. And I can whip out my invoices, you guys. Jeff buys these things all the time for his repeater use, not necessarily old rigs or anything, but there's so many uses for them. We're all kind of desperate now. Bob, I'm going to send it over to you. We have some questions. You mentioned the 75 meter and the 40 meter AM band windows. Can you give us some for the 20 meter bands, etc.?
Well, the 20 meter band isn't as important because we're just all over there. Excuse me. We just find a place to go. There isn't a specified frequency on 20 that I know of. Some of us go up to late night. We're up at 320, and that really works great because it's quiet at night and nobody's up there. And it's amazing. The band is open a lot. There's nobody down below or something. But we've been using 14320, and that's been working well. The other thing is 14268 is the other one on 20. But most of the activity is going to be on 75 and 40, and there's some on 160 also. But that 75 meter window is really, really busy and getting busier, and I love it. So there you go. So, Tim, you're going to have to fire up one of those big rigs and put one of those big signals on the air for us. That would be fun, let me tell you. We'll look for you.
All right. Well, you guys, those are my questions for this evening. I do have just two quick announcements. KC8 VJK James, he just upgraded to general. Congratulations, James. Hope to hear you on the HF frequency soon. And in November 6th Alpha, the Blue Jays are on. No, I did not get that right. I'm sorry. The Blue Angels are on with a special event. So that's all I have, you guys. Let me mention the nets real quick. We have 14 Charlie for the D-Star net. DMR, we have TAC 311. They're going on right now. HF, look at the 20 meter band, 14268. Hopefully Steve is on there and is still open. And also 7192, where we have the 40 meter net. And EchoLink. I don't want to forget that. So, Bob, that's what I've got tonight. I'll send it back to you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, very good. Thanks so much. Excellent, excellent. And we'll see you all back here next week when we're going to be doing all kinds of things again. And for the meantime, get out your soldering irons and we'll make it happen. I just want to see you start building. That's it. Thanks a lot. 7-3. So long for now. This is K9EID.